Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode from the Draw Step, and today's video, let me tell you, this is a very, very flavorful deck. It's around a certain creature type, but it comes with a twist at the end that nobody is going to see coming. This deck is going to win you a lot of games. The commander that we're working with is Ezio. There's a lot more to his name, but I don't know how to pronounce any of that. It's from the Assassin's Creed set, and this deck is an assassin deck. It's a WUBRG deck. He does have all 5 colors in his color identity, and he only costs 2 mana himself for a 3/2 with Menace, and then it says that assassin spells you cast have free running black. So that in and of itself can be some really good cost reduction, and we're actually going to, again, get into that at the end, where we're going to use that to our advantage. But it also says when Ezio deals combat damage to a player, you may pay WUBRG. If that player has 10 or less life, when you do, that player loses the game. So that is that's a really fun little alternate win con. I've played the deck several times. I have one with that particular feature a few times, but there are plenty of other ways to be able to win games even without that. This is a very aggro deck. It moves pretty quick, and you are going to want you're going to want to build this deck. I know you're going to enjoy it. Let's get into it. There is a deck list in the description below. Make sure you check that out if you do want to build the deck yourself. Starting off, we have our basic lands, nothing crazy to see there. And then we have our non-basic lands. And these are going to do a good job of filtering all of our colors and making sure that we have the colors that we need. Speaking of making sure we have plenty of mana, we have our ramp package. We got a Wayfarer's Bauble, a Soul Ring, because every deck should have a Soul Ring, and then an Arcane Signet. Because, again, getting the colors that we need. From there, we have our land ramp. We have Cultivate for 3 mana, get you the 2 basic land cards. Next, we have Prisha's Wandering, a newer one from the Final Fantasy set. That gets you a basic land card plus a +1/+1 counter on target creature you can control. Roamer's Routine. You can get a land and then play it again from your graveyard. And then probably the best value, we have Viewpoint Synchronization. It can get you 3 basic land cards. You search for 3 basic land cards, put 2 of them onto the battlefield and then 1 into your hand. And if you have hit an opponent with an assassin on that turn, you can do all of that for only 3 mana. So that's incredible value right there. Speaking of hitting our opponents, we do have some equipment to make our commander and our other assassins a little bit stronger and hit for even more. This isn't an equipment deck by any means, but certainly some solid pieces in here. First, we have Vorpal Sword. For 1 mana to play, it gives equipped creature +2/+0 and has Death Touch. But then it also has, for 8 mana until end of turn, whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. We got a lot of evasion on some of our assassins, so that could be a way to, take an opponent out right there. We got a Lightning Greaves, speed things up there. Speaking of speed things up, we have Mass Hysteria for 1 mana. All creatures have haste. It does affect your opponents too, so it does, downsize. It does give your opponent's creatures haste, but it allows you to come out swinging with what you have. Brotherhood Regalia for 2 mana. It says equipped creature has Ward 2. It's an assassin, and it can't be blocked. So that can't being blocked factor is very nice. Next, I have Cover of Darkness for 2 mana. As Cover of Darkness enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. You're going to choose Assassins, obviously, and then Assassins have Fear. Well, the creature type you chose has Fear. Then from there, this could actually really be a kind of a combo, but we have Sword of Feast and Famine. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from black and green. And when equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card and you untap all lands you control. And next, it can pair really well with Aggravated Assault. For 3 mana, you can pay 5, untap all creatures you control. If it's a main phase, there's an additional combat phase. So you can get this on your commander or whatever assassin you have. Pretty much all of them have menace or some other forms of evasion. Swing with those, and as long as you have at least 5 lands on the battlefield, when you connect, you're able to untap all of your lands and then get additional combats over and over and over again until you've taken out your opponents. Very nice right there. Speaking of taking additional turns, we have Overpowering Attack, which normally costs 5 mana, just like a Aggravated Assault. That 5 mana is typically the cost of taking an extra turn, but this has free running 3, so if you connect with an assassin, you can get an extra combat for just 3 mana, so that's nice value right there. Then we have Revival of the Ancestors. It's a saga, it creates some tokens, but more importantly, you can use it to buff some of your creatures, and then on the final, it gives them trample and lifelink. So as our creatures get stronger, we can make sure they're connecting and doing that damage. Restart Sequence for 4 mana. It also has free running 2, so you could cheat it out for as low as 2 mana. It says return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That can be very nice for only 2 mana. That's some of the best value there really is for cards like that. And then last we have Reconstruct History. Again, just another way of returning some cards from our graveyard to your hand so that you can use them again if your opponents do take out some of your good stuff. From there, we're going to get our filtering through our deck. We have Eagle Vision for 5 mana, although again, the free running, which is a crazy effect, for only 2 mana, you could draw 3 cards. That's great value right there. Coastal Piracy for 4 mana. This is an enchantment that says whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. With all of the creatures we have that have menace or other forms of evasion, we'll be able to draw quite a few cards with that, keep working through our deck. Next, I have Fall of the First Civilization. Again, allows you to draw some cards, exile an artifact, so it is kind of a removal as well too. And then it has destruction at the end of it. Ballad of the Black Flag, 3 mana, mill 3 cards, put a historic card from among them into your hand. Artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic. Most of our assassins are legendary creatures, so that can allow us to kind of sift through. And then the final chapter, it says historic spells you cast this turn cost 2 less to cast. So again, a way to help reduce the cost of some of your cards. And then finally, for our card draw, we have Distant Melody for 4 mana. Choose a creature type, draw a card for each permanent you control of that type. We're going to have a lot of assassins and be able to draw a lot of cards. Next, to mess with our opponent's plans, we have 2 forms of attack here. First, we have our Counterspells with Negate. Dovin's Veto is what the actual card is. I just have the alternate art from Final Fantasy, but that's a counterspell right there. Arcane Denial, another solid counterspell. And then last, we have the OG counterspell. And if they do manage to get things onto the battlefield, we want to have plenty of ways of getting them off the battlefield. So we got Sheltered by Ghosts for 2 mana. It exiles a permanent until it leaves the battlefield, and it gives your enchanted creature +1/+0 lifelink and ward 2. So that can be very nice. Next, we have Origin of the Hidden Ones. It deals 4 damage to any target. Can use it to remove a creature or just ping an opponent's face, and then it can create some assassins on the second level, and on the third chapter, or lore counter, you will be able to, it says, whenever an assassin you control attacks this turn, create a 1/1 black assassin creature token with menace that's tapped and attacking. So create a very large army almost out of nowhere. Blasphemous Act, a classic in the format. If things start to get really hairy, you need a board wipe. You have a board wipe right there. Deadly Rollick, a free spell. If you control your commander, you may cast it without paying its spell or without paying its mana cost. Exile target creature. Mortify for 3 mana, destroy target creature or enchantment. Give you some flexibility there. The Revelations of Ezio, it can destroy a creature, but it can also buff your assassins as well too. Chain Assassination, again, has that free running cost, but it allows you to destroy a creature, and if another creature died this turn, you can draw a card as well too, so extra value on top of that. Search for the Frozen Esper, which is really just Nature's Charm. So Nature's Charm for 1 green mana, destroy target artifact or enchantment, and then its controller gains 4 life. Split Up for only 3 mana. You can choose to either destroy all tapped creatures or all untapped creatures. So depending on, if you've gone to combat yet or not, you can use that to its best effect. Requisition Raid, I enjoy the flexibility of this one. Spree spells are kind of slept on. You can either destroy target artifact or enchantment, or put a 1/1 counter on a creature. And you could do all 3 of them if you really wanted to, or if you had the mana. Rip Apart for only 2 mana, white and a red. It deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker, or you can destroy an artifact or enchantment. And next, Terminate for black and red. Destroy target creature, can't be regenerated. And then the last of our board wipes, probably the strongest out of all of them, Kindred Dominance. You would choose Assassin and then destroy all the creatures that aren't Assassins. Speaking of Assassins, let's get into our Assassins, which makes up our bulk of our fighting force. First, we have Vile Smasher Gleeful Grenadier, which is quite the name on it, but it says whenever another outlaw enters the battlefield in your control, Vile Smasher deals 1 damage to target opponent. Assassins are outlaws, so every time you cast an assassin or an assassin enters the battlefield, it's going to deal 1 damage to an opponent. So there's kind of a nice ping effect. Then I have Vincent Vengeful Atoner from the Final Fantasy set. It's a 3/3. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on Vincent, and that deals combat damage to an opponent. It deals that much damage to each other opponent if its power is 7 or greater. That's pretty nice right there to be able to spread the damage effect. This next card is not actually a assassin, but it does pair really well with your commander. It is Tree of Perdition for 4 mana. It's a plant, a 0/13. You can tap it and exchange target opponent's life total with this creature's toughness, which is 13. So if you can get this down early enough, it goes very well with your commander's secondary ability. You can tap this, make an opponent's life total 13. Then all you have to do is connect with your commander. That'll bring them down to 10. You pay the WUBRG. They're over. Game over for them. So this can be a nice little way to quickly speed up the game for you there. Bassam Ibn Ishak, very strong assassin. Whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card, and Bassam can't be blocked this turn, triggers once each turn, and when he deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on him. So he'll be getting stronger as the game goes on, and it'll be very hard for your opponents to stop him from doing damage to them. Arbaz Mir, I believe, when it or another non-token historic permanent enters the battlefield under your control, deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life. So again, more of a pinging effect. Layla Hassan for 4 mana. It's a 3/4 first strike, and when it enters the battlefield, whenever one or more assassins you control deal combat damage to a player, return target historic card from your graveyard to your hand. So even if our opponents do manage to take out some of our assassins, we have ways to keep bringing them back from the graveyard. Shay Cormac. It's 2 mana for a 1/1, but you can pay 1, permanents your opponent's control, lose hexproof, indestructible, protection, shroud, and ward until end of turn. So that's a pretty unique effect. It's going to work really well if you do have a board wipe lined up or you are trying to take out a particularly pesky creature. You can remove that protection from that creature, and whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes a target of a spell or ability you control, put a bounty counter on that creature. Whenever a creature with a bounty counter on it dies, put 2+1/+1 counters on Shay Cormac, so it makes him stronger. Interceptor Shadowhound, another card from the Final Fantasy set. It's a 4/3 and it has Menace, and assassins you control have Menace. A lot of our assassins already have Menace, but it's nice to make sure that they all have that evasion. And whenever you attack with one or more legendary creatures, you may pay 3. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. So this old dog, is going to be non-stop coming after your opponents. Woof roof. Evie Fry for 2 mana. It's a 2/1 that can partner with Jacob Fry, which we're not going to use because we're not partnering them, but you can pay 1, tap, draw a card, then discard a card. When you discard a creature card this way, target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. Again, giving you that evasion. A really great card that you would want to have evasion is the Unstoppable Slasher. For 3 mana, it's a 2/3 with Death Touch, and when it deals combat damage to a player, they lose half their life rounded up. And then when the Unstoppable Slasher dies, if it had no counters on it, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control with 2 stun counters on it. So that thing just keeps on coming back. You can make sure that it connects and drains your opponents very quickly. Arno Dorian for 4 mana. It's a 3/3 with Death Touch. Other assassins you control get +2/+0. A nice little Anthem effect for your assassins. Speaking of Anthem effects, we have Adaptive Automaton. As it enters, choose a creature type. Obviously, we're going to choose Assassins. And then this creature is the chosen type in addition to its other types. And other creatures you control the chosen type get +1/+1. So again, an Anthem there to make all the rest of your Assassins a little bit stronger. Desmond Miles for 2 mana. It's a 1/3 with Menace, but he also gets +1/+0 for each other assassin you control and each other assassin card in your graveyard. And then when Desmond Miles deals combat damage to a player, surveil X, where X is the amount of damage it dealt to that player. So that's a nice way, again, for us to kind of rummage through our library and find all of the cards that we want. Edward Kenway, very, very strong card. For 5 mana, you get 5/5 in the beginning of your end step. Create a treasure token for each tapped assassin, pirate, or vehicle you control. So it really encourages you to attack, which we're planning on doing anyway, but it's giving you treasure tokens for when we are attacking. And then our final assassin, and probably one of the spiciest, with a nice little alternate win con here, is Ramses Assassin Lord. It's a 4/4 with Death Touch, and other assassins you control get +1/+1. And whenever a player loses the game, if they were attacked this turn by an assassin you controlled, you win the game. This is really, there's a couple ways you could do it. Just, a straight up combat damage. If you take somebody out, you can win this way. But it pairs so well with Ezio and his ability, because if you can attack, you can, really focus on just one opponent, get them down to that 10 life, do his effect, pay the WUBRG, they lose the game. If you have Ramses on the battlefield, as soon as that person loses the game, you win the game. You don't even have to worry about the rest of your opponents. So that can be a nice alternate way to win the game right there. Finally, to end this off, I promised you we were going to have a little spicy twist at the end. And this was really inspired by the fact that, again, Ezio says that assassin spells you cast have free running black. So as long as we can connect with our commander or with an assassin, we can cheat stuff out for only 2 black mana. That instantly got the wheels in my head turning. So first we do have 2 tutors to try to find some of the pieces to make sure that this can work. The first is Diabolic Tutor for 4 mana, search for a card, and then Gamble, 1 mana to search for a card. And some of the cards that we're looking for, there's really 3 in particular that we need. We need one of these 3 to make sure that we can do this. The first option is Roshan, Hidden Magister, another assassin, but it says other creatures you control are assassins in addition to this other types. Same is true for creature spells. Conspiracy does the exact same thing. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures you control are the chosen type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. And last would be Maskwood Nexus for 4 mana. Creatures you control are every creature type. The same is true for creature spells. So again, those 3, it's just 3 different ways. It gives you redundancy to make sure that all of your creatures are assassins. We had already covered some of the others, like the dog. That is not technically an assassin, but that would make sure that is an assassin. But the real fun stuff is we have some Eldrazi in our deck, but now they're Eldrazi assassins. So as long as you can connect, you can cast something like Artisan of Kozilek, normally 9 mana, but you would be able to cast it for only 2, and when it enters the battle, or when you cast a spell, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it's a 10/9 with Annihilator 2. Your opponents won't see that coming. They will not be prepared to get absolutely smashed with a giant annihilating Eldrazi assassin. Desolation Twin. It's a 10/10, and when you cast it, you get another 10/10 Eldrazi. Ulamog's Crusher, normally 8 mana for an 8/8 with Annihilator 2. And last, we have Bane of the Balagad, normally 7 mana. It's a 7/5, and when it attacks defending player, exiles 2 permanents he or she controls. So kind of like an Annihilator, but even worse. So that's just, it's a fun little thing. In play testing, I haven't been able to pull it off every single game, but the games where you can do it, it's pretty satisfying. I have an obsession with putting Eldrazi in any deck that I can. Anytime I see a way of like cheating costs or getting stuff out for less than you normally should, I love to throw an Eldrazi in that and make the most of it. So let me know in the comments below what you think about this, if there's any tweaks that you would make. I personally am a big fan of the Assassin's Creed set. The Assassin cards there was quite a few fun cards. I've been wanting to build an Assassin deck for a while, and this turned out even better than I thought it would. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell notification. We drop new videos every single Friday. We have some crazy, toxic, fun, competitive decks on this channel that you are not going to want to miss. That being said, there is going to be another video on screen right now that you're going to enjoy. Make sure you check it out, and I'll see y'all next time.